Hello once again everyone, and welcome to Kruznik's Purgatory. I'm your host Kruznik X, and tonight we're going to be flinging spells. We're back in Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers for the next level 80 job quest, for the Path of the Black Mage. First, let's show off the gear, which I've got to say, of all the gear sets so far, this is probably my favorite one. And that is saying something, because, you know, I've always liked a lot more. I mean, I know I like fantasy a lot, but I also like a lot more streamlined and more professional, and this is probably as elegant and professional as Black Mage could possibly get, all things considered. So this gear is the weathered the weathered Wicce gear. And of course we have the coat, the wrist torque, the bottoms, the shoes, the petasos, and that's about it. And like I've said it to so many people, I love this particular gear. It's a lot more. It's kind of got a Professor McGonagall feel to it. For those of you who have actually read Harry Potter, and of course we are also equipped with our level 80 artifact weapon, the weathered Katvanga, and honestly, I love this one. Not as much as the Stardust Rod. This is like a close second to the Stardust Rod. It's a very cool wand, and it's very interesting to see how the orbiting ring still continues to orbit as even when sheathed. So it's kind of representing our ethereal mastery of the void, but let's not mince anything up. Let's move on to things that have changed within this particular job. Now, with the new updates to the battle system, Black Mages now fall into the role of caster DPS. So a fair bit has changed. Let's start off with role actions. Now, as opposed to the other roles, caster DPSs only have 4 actions now. Drain, Mana Shift, cannot pronounce this word. Apocatastasis and Erase have all been removed. That third ability is something I'm glad I will never have to pronounce again. But these were all removed. You'll also notice that we've had a significant change in how MP works. MP is now capped at 10,000 MP in the new battle system. So it's been interesting to use certain casters and see how everything progresses and how the MP is regulated to certain skills. But it's still a fun little ability. It's still fun to work with Black Mage, and you are going to see, and hopefully you are going to get to see a whole ton of spell casting when this is all done. Before this is all said and done. Moving on to what we do have in terms of caster DPS and role actions, At level 8, we get Addle, which has a range of 25 yalms and a 90-second recast time. It lowers the target's intelligence and mind by 10% for 10 seconds. At level 18, we get Swiftcast, which will not go away, which is good for me because I love Swiftcast a little too much. As always, Swiftcast has a 1 minute recast time. Make sure it does allow the next spell to be cast immediately for 10 seconds. At level 24, we get Lucid Dreaming, which has a 1 minute recast time, reduces enmity by half, has an additional effect of refresh, the refresh potency of 80, and a duration of 21 seconds. And finally, at level 44, you get Shorecast, which has a 2 minute recast time, and assures that spells can be cast without interruption, and nullifies most knockback and draw-in effects for 6 seconds. Alright, with that being said, let's move on to the good stuff. The abilities that Black Mage gets. We'll start off with the current ability changes. Now, Astral Fire and Umbral Ice durations have been increased to 15 seconds as opposed to their original 12 seconds. So that's an extra 3 seconds that you get to hold up Astral Fire or Umbral Ice. Speaking of which, I'm just going to I'm gonna move up my elemental gauge a little more, just because. Okay, that looks much better, I think. Yep. Moving on. Your level 2 ability, Fire. The level 2 spell Fire now has a fire start. Now, let me try that again. The level 2 spell Fire, the fire starter proc now lasts for 18 seconds as opposed to its original 12 seconds. Level 4's transposed recast time has been reduced to 5 seconds as opposed to its original 8 seconds. The level 10 sleep ability now has a 5 yalm radius AoE like in a Realm Reborn. Level 12's Blizzard 2's bind effect has been removed due to the changes in the battle system. At level 30, you now get Mana Ward, which was originally Convert. It still creates a barrier that nullifies damage, totaling up to 30% of the maximum HP. But it no longer sacrifices HP, and consequently can now be used under 20 HP. Level 35's Freeze is now targeted at an enemy rather than placed. The bind effect has been removed, and it grants an additional effect at level 68. We will talk about that more in a little bit. At level 50, level 50's Flare has been reworked in terms of AoE damage. It now deals fire damage to target and all enemies nearby, with a potency of 260 for the first enemy and 40% less for all remaining enemies. So that's a little fun. That's a fun one that I worked into a combo. Level 54's Sharpcast now has a trait that reduces its recast time from 30 seconds from 60 seconds, which is good for everyone. Enochian now has a trait that increases its magic damage at level 70 and 78 to 10% and 15% respectively. We will talk about that more later. At level 58, you get Blizzard 4 still. It deals ice damage with a potency of 300 as opposed to its original 260. And finally, the level 70 trait Enhanced Enochian now increases Enochian's magic damage buff to 10%. Let's move on to some new abilities, shall we? First and foremost, at level 68, we now gain the trait Enhanced Freeze, which grants an Umbral Heart upon casting Freeze. This is a great thing to have, and I enjoy it in high-level dungeons. It just feels right. At level 72, you gain Aspect Mastery, the Aspect Mastery trait, which ensures that accumulating full stacks of either Astral Fire or Umbral Ice, and then casting a spell of the opposite element will consume no MP. I could not be more glad at this, because if we are allowed to just blast a ton of spells in the next few minutes, you will see how my combo works. In fact, it involves all these spells, and yeah, we'll get to that. At level 72, you gain the spell Despair. This is a 10,000 MP cost, so it basically costs all your MP. It has a 1.5 second recast time in... It had a 1.5 second cast time in the live letter, a 3 second cast time in the media tour build, and as you can see, it now has a 2.8 second cast time with a 2.34 second recast time. This one deals fire damage with a potency of 380, and it has an additional effect of granting Astral Fire 3 for a duration of 15 seconds, and it can only be executed while under the effects of both Enochian and Astral Fire. At level 74, you gain the trait Enhanced Sharpcast, which reduces Sharpcast's recast timer to 30 seconds. At level 76, you gain the spell Umbral Soul. This is one of my favorite spells to use and spam, which is why it's on my main cross hotbar. This grants Umbral Ice and 1 Umbral Heart, and can only be executed while under the effect of both Enochian and Umbral Ice. So allow me to explain how this spell works. Say you're running a dungeon and you've got to transfer from mobs, and you need to keep up your Enochian, but at the same time you want to keep up other things. You always want to make sure that, well, you'll pop convert most likely, or transpose, I mean, if you're in Astral Fire, and switch to Umbral Ice, and then you'll just pop Umbral Soul like crazy, because it has a recast time of 2.34 seconds, and you can just pop this and just continue to keep your Umbral Ice, and you get 1 Umbral Heart for each time you pop it, so no worries there. At level 78, you gain the trait At level 78, you gain the trait Enhanced Enochian 2, which improves Enochian's magic damage increase to 15%. At level 80, you gain the trait Enhanced Polyglot, which allows the stacking of a second polyglot, as you can see from the elemental gauge in the middle of the W cross hotbar. And finally, last but not least, the level 80 skill, Xenoglossy. This has a range of 25 yalms, is an instant cast spell, deals unexpected damage with a potency of 750, and can only be executed while under the effect of Polyglot. So basically, Black Mage barely lost anything. In terms of role actions, it lost only a few spells, and in terms of its main spells, it didn't lose a single thing. Not only that, it gained a whole bunch of buffs. It's a lot more powerful now. It's probably the most OP of all the jobs right now. But there's still another patch to go through. At the time of this recording, we're getting close to the wire in terms of getting to patch 5.1. So, yeah, you probably won't be seeing this on YouTube for quite some time. Anyways, let's get right down to the quest itself. We have been through a lot with the Black Mage quest, between Kukuruka and what's his face, who the rogue black mage, and not only that, but meaning the mistress of all black magic was, but also meaning Mistress Shatoto. It really does go without saying that a lot has happened in this entire Black Mage quest. But, it's going to be interesting to see how everything plays out with this next, with this quest. Let's get right down to it and speak to Lalai, and complete the level 80 quest, A Home for a Tome.
Welcome back to these halls, Chris of the Black. I sense that the dark powers in you are ever burgeoning. Pray tell, where have your trials taken you since last we met?
I traveled to a world flooded with light.
A journey to another world, you say? Intriguing indeed. Consider me impressed, and even a bit envious. How were you able to peer into the past of the Archmage Neilbert, and form a bond across the ages with his young friend Taynor? Though the circumstances are not entirely the same, I cannot help but think back to my own encounter with the great Shatoto. Speaking of which, I too have been keeping myself occupied. Why, I have recorded every detail we learned on our last adventure in writing, that we might preserve Shatoto's knowledge for posterity, and avert any similar calamity that may threaten future generations. Just the other day, I put the finishing touches on the final chapter of the final volume, concluding with Shatoto's departure. There is, however, one lingering...
Well, fancy that. I came to check up on Lalai here, and who do I find but our old friend Chris?
Well, if it isn't everyone's favorite mutton-headed hero. I need neither your support nor your sympathy, but I suppose you've never been one to let that stop you.
Come now, Lalai. You yourself mentioned that you were at a loss for... what to do with the records you had scribed, yes? I simply hope to inquire as to whether there have been any fruitful developments on that front.
So you mean to rub salt in my wounds, yes? There have been no developments, fruitful or otherwise. I consulted with my brothers and sisters at the Order of Naldal, but to the last man they refused to even entertain the thought.
You consulted with... Do you mean to say that you are still a member of the Order? Why, I had always assumed that you had been excommunicated for your pursuit of the dark arts.
Excommunicated? Simply for the pursuit of knowledge? Perish the thought! Though, to be fair, there are many holier-than-thou types in the Order who share this pig-headed hero's opinion. Irrespective of this, the fact remains that the Order sealed away countless tomes in their vaults when they forbid the art of black magic. Storing my own writings with them, I would argue, is the most logical option. But no, they are too prudish and prejudiced against yours truly to listen to reason. Then again, perhaps a thaumaturge in good standing with the Order were to put in a good word on my behalf.
You may indeed find a more sympathetic ear. What do you say, Chris? Yeah, why not?
Excellent! Then let us hurry to the ossuary and see if we can convince that insufferably stuffy Yayake to see good sense.
A moment, if you please, Chris. To tell the truth, the question of where to store her records is not the only matter that concerns me about Lalai of late. Recently, I cannot help but feel that the etheric power within her is shifting, warping in ways that I have not felt before. As for why this is, I cannot yet be sure. Until we discover more, pray look after her, will you? Alright, let's head to Arzeneth Ossuary. AKA the Thaumaturge's Guild.
Chris! Well, this is an unexpected surprise. And not an entirely pleasant one, though it is by no fault of your own. The unmitigated gall of you, Lalai! Did you honestly believe that dragging poor Chris here, against his will no doubt, would convince me to agree housing your shameful scribblings in our archives? I have said it once, and I will say it again. Until the day you renounce the depraved teachings of Kukuruka, you will find no friends here. I would see those books burned before I give them a home here, for our sake and for your own. I swear, despite that pretentious monocle, you remain as blind as a bat to the big picture. Chris of the Black, talk some sense into this overstuffed secretary.
Do all in the Order agree with your decision?
At least one of us here is capable of communicating like an adult. I will grudgingly admit that there is one other who shares Lalai's sentiments. In fact, it is none other than our very own guildmaster, Master Kokobe... what was his name again? Kokobuki! Ha! It does not surprise me in the least. Come, Chris, let us present our case to someone wise enough to understand it.
Guildmaster Kokobuki, one of the 6 Koko brothers, 5 of which are guildmasters of the Thaumaturge's Guild, and the other one is an alchemist. I was wondering who might be behind the screaming and stamping that echoed all the way into this chamber. Sister Lalai, was it? Yes, it is true. I find myself rather convinced by the young lady's argument. It is all but impossible for us to prevent any and all from studying the dark arts. Why then not keep this dangerous knowledge close at hand, where we keep an ever-watchful eye on those who would pursue it? And yet, I fear that my own view is not a popular one, and my power to influence the others is far from absolute. And so I would offer a proposal. Let us state our case directly to the head of the order, to Prioress Dulala herself, that she might pass judgment. Well, well, a name I haven't heard in a while. You and Lalai shall argue in favor of accepting the tomes, and those opposing shall argue against. Should all go well, the Prioress will agree to the proposal, and the tomes will have a safe home. And yet, the plan is not without risk. Should your argument be less than convincing, there remains a chance Dulala may expressly forbid any further research. Why, if she is in a particularly foul mood, your very place in the order may suddenly become quite tenuous.
Ha! As if there's a chance my words could be anything but persuasive. I accept. Pray summon the Prioress at her earliest convenience. Well, that settles it. We'd best hurry and prepare our argument. Out of our enemy's earshot, of course. Come with me, Chris.
Do you think it wise to be right here?
chance, Chris. We simply must convince the prioress at all costs. The future of our art depends on it. What is this curious sensation?
Lalai! I knew something was amiss. The ether within you is transforming in a most unusual way.
I must admit, I have not felt quite myself lately. My head, it feels heavy as stone.
No, this will not do. I'm afraid I must insist that you submit a full examination before the hearing commences. Or not. Lalai! Lalai! Can you hear me? Someone fetch a healer! Oh, wait, that's me! This is no time for panicking, friend. We must carry her to the frontistery with all speed. And off to Frondale's frontistery. Alright, I hope she's okay. I fear it is as I suspected. The etheric balance within her has broken down entirely, and unchecked energies are now eating away at her from within. I can only assume that playing host to Shatoto's memories has put a terrible strain on her, one from which she has yet to completely recover. Yes, it would seem that her mind and spirit are in mortal peril. I've never witnessed this degree of etheric imbalance before. I do not suppose you have. Actually, I saw a world consumed by light. I see. I can scarcely imagine all you have witnessed in your travels, but an imbalance of ether similar to what I now observed in Lalai would appear to be behind the phenomena you describe. If we can assume that the memories of Shatoto taking up resonance in Lalai's corporeal form stimulated her etheric flow, causing it to shift violently in an astral direction, then it only stands to reason we could restore balance by introducing a counteracting umbral aspect. By the 12, I think I've got it! And yet, the process will not be quick, nor easy. I suppose we've no choice but to ask Master Kokobuki to delay the hearing.
Delay the hearing? Have you lost what little wits you had? Why, if word got out that my condition was the result of my pursuit of the dark arts, it would all but seal Yayakei's cause against me! No, we must proceed as planned, before our opponents are the wiser. Chris, here is my magnum opus, the fruits of all we went through together. I leave them in your capable hands. Go on ahead, and I will be along in due time.
Are you mad? You can't possibly mean to attend the proceedings in your current condition.
Of course not. Fortunately, I just happen to know a hero who, despite being an insufferable stick in the mud, has proven himself more than capable in the healing arts.
Lalai. Very well. Leave it to me. I will see that you are back on your feet before the judgment is rendered. Until then, I suppose it is up to Chris here. Godspeed, my friend. Alright, back to the ossuary. Come on, let me at least sling some spells around for like 5 seconds. My God, the bots are out in full today. Alright, let's talk to Kokobuki. Lalai will be joining the proceedings a touch late, you say? That is most unlike her, to say the least. She has entrusted her records to you? Very well. With any luck, we will be able to use them to our advantage. Now, allow me to see them. The prioress will be here all too soon.
Lalai has not even the courtesy to arrive on time to the hearing she herself requested? I swear, the woman's selfishness knows no bounds. I move that her request be dismissed immediately. It is for her own good.
Her own good? Yes, it is as I suspected. You speak from your own experience, don't you, child? I recall that you too once took an unpopular position in support of your erstwhile master, Mumuepo. One that earned you only the ire of your brothers and sisters.
Yes, and what of it? I fought for a hopeless cause that in the end served only to isolate me from my peers. Is it so wrong that I wish to save Lalai from a similar fate? She must abandon this farce at once and return to her rightful place in the Order.
To this, I cannot agree. In the short time before these proceedings, I perused what I could of these tomes. In their pages are writ not only forbidden secrets of black magic, but accounts of astounding phenomena the likes of which even I could scarcely imagine. Lalai conducted her research without the support or interference of the Order, and the fruits that research has borne cannot be denied. While our guild could not support 1,000 others like her, I see little to gain from stifling one woman's passion and forcing her to work within such rigid rules and regulations.
The merits of both arguments are not lost on me, and yet I must confess a degree of ignorance about the matter at hand. All know that black magic was forbidden for its role in bringing disaster to our world, and yet you still practice this art. Tell me, adventurer, is this magic as calamitous as the rumors say?
It depends on who wields it, and to what end.
If I understand you correctly, you would argue that in the right hands, even the art of destruction might serve the greater good. And yet, how are we to be certain that this sister Lalai can be trusted with such potentially ruinous knowledge? My apologies, Prioress. By your leave, I would tell my tale. Black magic is an inherently dangerous art. This I cannot and will not deny. Never would I suggest that even a single mage pursue this path without full knowledge of the perils that lie ahead. That is precisely why I have recorded in painstaking detail not only the arcane knowledge I have gleaned, but every last one of the myriad phenomena, both wondrous and terrifying, I have experienced in its pursuit. Unbreakable bonds formed with beastmen we once thought our sworn enemy, bodies and souls consumed by the pursuit of forbidden knowledge, an unspeakable calamity revisited upon our world after millennia. We must lead this knowledge to prosperity, that our sons and daughters do not repeat the mistakes of our past. Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. This is the crux of your argument, yes? Very well. Master Kokobuki, I hereby order you to establish a research organization under the auspices of your guild to further study the impact of black magic. I also grant you permission to store the aforementioned tomes in your archives, under the condition that Sister Lalai oversees them. Understood. I will see that both the tomes and Lalai herself find a safe home within our halls. I am still not entirely convinced, but if the Guildmaster himself is willing to accept responsibility, I have no reason to oppose. Prioress Dulala, Master Kokobuki, I cannot thank you enough. Mark my words, you will not regret this decision. I will see to it that this knowledge is passed down as it should be, that the errors of our past will never be repeated.
Well, what a touching turn of events this turned out to be. Well, I do believe the proceedings went about as well as could be expected. I suppose this means that Lalai is now directly under my supervision. Don't think you'll be getting free reign around here simply because I vouched for you, child. I expect regular reports on any and all of your findings. Only through transparency will black magic ever be accepted by doubters and skeptics.
Understood. I shall begin to prepare my first report at once. But before that, there is another with whom I'd like to share these tidings. That is, by your leave, Guildmaster? I believe you know well of whom I speak. He awaits us at the Sicarium. Come along, Chris.
Well, finally, black magic will be wielded in the hands of the righteous. Or those who would use it in the right way. I think I speak for all black mages when I say this is a good thing. Of course, then again, I don't speak for all black mages, so that's kind of a moot point.
And so, you see, I simply thought that, well...
Whatever is the matter, Lalai? This is your moment of triumph. I would expect you to be more triumphant.
Of course I am! It is simply that, well... Clearly, I could not have... I did not accomplish this on my own, so... Chris of the Black. And yes, you as well, Dianella. You have my deepest gratitude.
Well, I dare say this has been a momentous day in more ways than one. Once again, Lalai, my congratulations. And... you are most welcome. With that, I should be on my way. When next we meet, I would introduce my colleagues from Stillglade Thane. Now that you are no longer a pariah, I suppose they would not be averse to exchanging knowledge with you.
And just when I was beginning to take a liking to that dolt. At any rate, though my official position may have changed, my mission remains the same. I will do all in my power to preserve our art for future generations. Pray, continue to lend me your aid, Chris of the Black.
You know it. With that, we've unlocked the achievement Back in Black 4. And we've gained another title, I believe. Let's take a look-see. Yep, Chris Valentine of Stranger Shadow. Not the best one we've had, but I'll take it. Well, with that being said, we've finally completed another level 80 quest line. I cannot wait to get through the rest of these. My next one is Summoner and Scholar, so that's going to be a fun weekend. Or a fun week. We'll see what happens. But until then, that's going to be it for this episode of Cruise Next Purgatory. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you all enjoyed the show. As always, if you're watching this on Twitch or live at PlayStation and you like this show, click the follow button, be sure to turn on notifications so you're well informed, and be sure to subscribe to me for exclusive access to certain videos and live streams. If you're watching this on YouTube and you like this show, click the like button below and leave a comment. Subscribe to my channel by clicking here. Click here to watch more by me. Click here to watch the next episode when it comes out in the new expansion, and click here to watch the original Stormblood ending. Until next time, Cruiser Gex, signing in.